All right, so no real new updates in regards to last time that we talked. Today we'll go inside for practice, and it'll getting prepared here for the Colts week. It's good for our whole team just to kind of, and our coaches, like I said before, to go through the process. And that's about it. That's where we're at.
Matt, for your ones, what will be the focus for these 3 days of practice this week?
Yeah, just I think continuing to go through what we've worked on so far, this whole library of stuff that we have in training camp, and let them continue to get a good feel on both sides, offense and defense, of what Coach Pagano put in on D, and then the things that we're doing on offense. We'll for the most part, our guys are. I don't think really anything changes. There's some things here or there that we're looking at, but we're out here just trying to get our guys really conditioning, and then also mental reps as far as practice-wise, as practice goes for really all of them. But we'll have a nice split between both groups.
How do you keep things fun at this stage of camp? We're kind of in that little lull right now, where the regular season's coming up, but still have to go through the basics here. How do you keep it fun for these guys?
Well, we're just the one thing is where you can get monotonous in practice and meetings is doing the same thing over and over again. So we'll have some fun in meetings. We'll maybe make some jokes on some guys here or there. Prince in particular, we like to pick on. But and then in practice too, there's that balance of not being too crazy serious and letting the guys kind of be themselves. But I feel like one of my strengths is probably not really just sticking to a script. I believe in just if I feel like it's a day where we want to have fun, we do. But I mean, just naturally, really, to answer a long-winded answer to your question.
Is it possible that you would do another one of those scripted scrimmages before the preseason ends?
It's possible, but I don't see that happening. Again, that was kind of a on a whim type deal for that, and we have a plan for really our whole team as we're moving forward here. But I don't foresee that, just because again, that was kind of a training camp mode deal. We were still in quote-unquote training camp, and now we're trying to get this schedule set so that everybody, whoever wasn't here last year, gets a feel for how we do things on a daily basis.
Your opener is going to be, 4 days after the waiver wire runs. Is there anything you guys can do in advance to have things set up for if you bring in a new guy, making sure that you can get them up to speed and ready to play in 4 days?
So our coaches they'll be crunching if that's the case, but we feel like right now with where we're at, and for that first game, we don't have those extra 2 days, and so it is a little bit different for us. But we feel really good with where we're at with that part. I think a lot of those transactions that occur are usually more depth style players, at least for us. I think that's what it's going to be. So I'm not real concerned about that.
Will you simulate a game week leading up to the last preseason game, just given that it's a Thursday game, you play the Packers on Thursday, just to simulate that condensed?
No, the simulated game week deal that we did, I don't foresee happening here the rest of the way. We're looking at 14 days, but we have a plan as a staff. We know how we're going to handle our players, whether it's playing time and or conditioning. We have a great plan. So the simulated scrimmage that we did the other night, for so many reasons, was good in the fact that the ambiance or the setting environment was great, the situations were great, the conditioning was great, all that stuff was great. That was the perfect time to do it. Right now, we're sticking to this schedule, and we have to adapt in other ways of, with the limited playing time that the guys get in preseason, and that's the plan I'm talking about. We have a great plan with conditioning and other things.
A young guy that flashes in a game like James Fodders or Clifton Duck or whoever, how do you see that generally affect them, like going into the next practice in terms of giving them a boost? And then what are you looking for from them in a future game in terms of consistency?
Yeah, well, the consistency is important. It's just like we tell them, don't make the same mistake twice. Let's see if they're the ball hawks this next game, or are they getting blocked the whole time now and not around the quarterback, or are you being around the football like Duck was on that interception? So it allows us to kind of see, are they able to follow that up, good or bad.
What does Kyle Long need to do this week to move past last week's incident, or you guys passed it already?
Yeah, we're past it, and now it's not about talking anymore. It's just about for us. It's about everybody showing what we can do. It's showing by your actions, whether that's being a good football player or being a good person. You gotta. I always tell my kids, don't talk about it, be about it. So it's time to start being about it.
Do you feel like you have surprised by it, though? I mean, just being him, of who it was, being a veteran like Kyle?
No, I mean, yes and no. I think the answer to that is that surprised in the fact that he's been doing so great, right? That part, that's the yes part. Then no, I'm not surprised because those guys are in the trenches every day banging, and sometimes for certain reasons you get triggered and things happen. But that's where we got to be mentally strong, be mentally mature, and get past that part.
You feel like you have a group you're confident can do that?
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I really do. And that's my job as a leader to make sure that I use these examples to the team that, hey, these type of things are unacceptable. Our guys know it. If there was a lot of malicious intent to where, or it continues to keep happening, then, then I even have more decisions to make. But we talk about everything as a team. Coaches, players, we talk about it all. We don't hide anything. We don't hide back emotions or feelings, and that's just how we do it.
Beyond the obvious in talent, with Cordell Patterson, what's allowed him to have the kind of career that he's had, be the versatile piece that he's had?
So he's, he came in as strictly a wide receiver and obviously was a little bit smaller at the time, but he found his own niche. He did some things at the running back position, even when he was at Minnesota. And so over time, teams have seen that and they've used him in that way in Oakland and New England. So I think he's become comfortable with that. And we have some plans for him as to what we want to do. I'm proud of Cordero and the fact of what he's done coming in here to this camp, digesting this playbook and kind of seeing what we do as a complete player, whether that's a wide receiver or in the backfield. But he's grown and he's done everything we've asked.
Aside from Mitch, does he have to learn the most? Maybe him and Tariq, guys that do all the different types of playbooks and stuff.
Yeah, no, the U tight end, the number 2 tight end, the U tight end has to learn a lot. They're what we call an adjuster. So whether it's him or whether it's Tariq or any of we have the adjusters in our offense. They're the ones that move around a little bit and do some things, and so there's some learning volume to it. But I think every player is a little bit different, and we as coaches have a volume to those guys. And we moved 29 around a lot last year, and I do feel like there was probably later in the season where we probably gave them a little bit too much, and when you mentally drain them, it pulls them back physically.
Yeah, how's the Bradley Saul experiment going at tight end?
I like where it's at. I think that for us, if we don't have patience with him in this transition, and there's frustration with anything, we got to check ourselves as coaches. It is more of a develop. I mean, this thing's not going to happen. We're taking this guy that's played tackle his career and moved him to a position where you're running routes and you got to know every formation where you line up. So, all that said, I really like where he's at, and I'm looking forward to more.
How much? I don't know who initiated that. I'm curious about that, I guess. But how much of a risk career-wise is this for a guy like him, who was somewhat established as a reserve guy and on the roster, and now, it seems like somewhat of a risk.
Yeah, I think some people would look at it that way, but to me, I look at it as if for Bradley, this is something that we talked about last year during the course of the season. At times, he might have got a little bit of a confidence boost when he caught that ball in the end zone on the one play, but I don't think it's more of a risk as much as it speaks to who he is and trying to sacrifice, knowing that for us in our role at the Y position that we could use some depth there. And he's being about the we part, and he took a lot of time and effort to lose some weight and get down to a playing weight at tight end in the 280s, I think now. And I just commend him, and I'm looking forward to these next 2 games of seeing what he can do.
It was your idea. I mean, it was your.
Well, it was all of us. We all talked about it. We're all brainstorming on different ways. We're trying to be creative with our players too. So that was one of the guys that seemed like a simple fit, and he came to us as well last year.
The other side of that move, obviously, is the swing tackle position is vacated. Where are you at with Cornelius and with TJ? And beyond that, how difficult would it be to potentially cross-train one of your starters with that flexibility to give you yet another option if something were to happen to Charles or Bobby?
Right. So right now our swing tackles, I think, are doing a good job. They're getting a lot of reps, which is great because we can see what they can do. And you know, with Rashad getting his elbow, you know, that was a little bit of a setback there. But those guys are, I mean, there's another guy who was a defensive lineman 2 years ago. So again, we need to have patience with that. Lucas has done a really, he's a big guy. He's done a good job at, you know, with some of these defensive ends. So we like that. We know that's a position that we gotta get right in that swing tackle area.
If you like the depth, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, if you were to like the depth inside better, though, would you have the flexibility? Kyle Long played tackle in college. Would there be a scenario you're too busy in practice to be worrying about something?
I don't think so. I don't see that. Just because, you know, the swing tackle is a position where, you know, it's such a different world out there on that island, and taking a guy. Could he do it? Maybe. But as an emergency, you know, there's some other options I think that we would go through.
Matt,
As an offensive guy, what would be your perspective on facing Eddie Jackson in the middle of a secondary?
Well, I'm not going to say any of that because that does me no good with the Bears. So,
How high on the list of problems would he be if you were looking at this defense and trying to figure out?
yeah, I think he's proven that as a player in his career here, that he's a good football player. He's a ball hawk. You know, he understands what he's doing. I love his confidence and the way he plays. But for him, I think last year was a pretty good year for him. I think he's shown other teams that they need to know where he's at. You know.
Danny is somebody who's been successful for a long time in the league. What's it say about him that he devoted himself to kind of remaking his body a little bit this offseason?
Trevathan? Yeah. You could see it on tape. He's showing up. He's playing fast. He's flying around. We're noticing it with our backs in the backfield. So I think what it says about him is a guy that's dedicated and a guy that's taking care of his body. He's been in this league a little bit, and so these guys, as they get older, their knees start getting beat up. Sometimes you can get overweight. He's done the exact opposite. I mean, he's flashing on tape, and that's a great thing. As a leader, too, what a great mentor for a guy like Roquan.
Is Whitehair going to practice today?
Who's that?
Whitehair, Cody Whitehair, is he going to?
Yeah, yep.
Practice today. And you say Coward is not practicing?
Who?
Rashad Coward is still out?
Yeah, he won't be practicing today.
It's been a week since you had that meeting with Mitch. What are you hoping to see in practice to see that progress? We talked about scaling things back, and now
Yeah.
I mean, we're 14 days out, like you said.
Yeah. Just the anticipation now. That's probably the biggest key word for him as we go, is trying to predict when the ball's going to come out. I want his vision within the plays now, really going exactly where my eyes are going. When I'm standing back there behind him, if I'm looking to the right, he's looking to the right. If I'm looking to the left, he's looking to the left. His answers to me when he throws the ball somewhere, why did you do that? And if his answer is good, those are the things I'm looking for. And I think, you know, we're right there, but we won't know that until we get into the season.
Big plans for his birthday?
I know, 25, right? We were going to sing happy birthday to him in the team meeting, but he did the old thing where you put your head down, you get embarrassed. So I had a feel for it, so I let him go.
Matt, you mentioned the adjusters was the term you used.
Yeah.
It seems that you have a lot more of those this year. How much more does that add to your offense? What can that do to make it, major difference?
Yeah, it can. When you have good adjusters, guys that move around that are good football players, then I become a better coach because then you have good plays. But it's a credit to those guys of being able to move around, and that's a part of this offense. That's not anything new. That's nothing new that we do. It's just how much do you do it. But you definitely have to have some guys that know what they're doing at that position.
Matt, was there a time in your coaching career at Philly or KC that you kind of thought, when I'm a head coach, this is how I'm going to handle the preseason? Or is that something that, as the league has evolved, you've kind of been right there?
Great question. I never thought of that one time because I didn't know anybody then. I didn't know what I was just trying to earn Coach Reed's respect at that time. But even, for me, I honestly try to let everything happen as a feel, right? And so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think that'll ever change with me. It's more of a feel than it is, hey, going into this preseason, we're going to do this. Going into I have no idea about next year, about how that would work, et cetera. That's just who I am, and if I feel it's the same thing with the night scrimmage the other night. If that was planned, we would have told y'all, so I didn't get all those bad looks that night at the media. But we would have planned that ahead of time. That was on a whim. And again, because I felt like that's good for what our team needed, and it ended up being a success.
How do you have to juggle that with being a play caller, though? That can't be an all-field thing. There's so much planning that goes into it.
Well, there's both. So there's a lot of planning, but there's a lot of feel. There's a lot of feel. So, and it's feel through, because there's a lot of times you guys would be surprised when you get into a game and you might see something that's unprepared, unscouted. And if you're preparing all week long from scripting or from game planning, and you think something's going to happen, or maybe it's a weather thing or something, there's a ton of feel to calling plays. All right, thank you.
Larry, I'll take the first.